Not really help.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I've Mendon already said he can make it.
Don't do this whole... Phil, Predator guy, he's always managed to do way out, but he is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No. It was Freeman.
I like Michelle Mendon.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. We are back again with our first weekend podcast for quite a while. Must have been sometime last season we had a weekend podcast. And Chris is here as usual. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, very well, thanks. As I said, I'm pleased to be here on a Sunday morning. We're really up to date today.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a proper game day, morning podcast. So we've got a long way to go, though. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, obviously, yeah. We've seen a lot of COVID tests and stuff pop up around the NFL, but bizarrely, it doesn't seem to be being met with the same response as it once was by the league. But we'll get into all of that. As you said, we are doing a Sunday podcast, so for once we probably will have more or less the finalised rosters. We'll have a good idea on injuries and everything. So let's not delay then. Let's just get straight into it with the league news. And of course, if you would like to comment along as we go, I do have YouTube on my iPad in front of me, so please do comment along during the show. Starting off then, as we always do with the news, we have the transactions, and this first transaction is just, you could have predicted it really, because it was just classic on brand by the coach and the team. Chase Claypool for Golden Tate, $32 by the Tuck Fards. What do you make of that one?
Of course. I think that this does have the potential to be really good. I mean, you looked at him last week and he was absolute dynamite.
Yeah.
Whether it be real life or fantasy wise, it was unbelievable. We've seen a few of the Steelers receivers banged up a bit this week, so I think that he's definitely set to have the same sort of volume. So we'll see later on in a great matchup. But yeah, I mean, is it worth spending $32 on it right now? I mean, sure. I mean, for a team like Phil's, where it's a little bit stagnant.
Absolutely, and Phil actually had over $100 to start this week. So he after he got the boost from the additional waiver funds after week 4, he was at 107, I think. So
it makes a no-brainer for me then. Yes, I think that if you're spending that sort of money on a player every week, then you obviously got a bit of a problem. But yeah, that's it. Having seen, let's say, what he needs, I think that just a little bit of shot in the arm potentially, and one that could be really good going forward. Yeah, exactly what's required. But he's the Juju. He's the Juju owner, is he not?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's take a look. I thought someone else may have had. Oh no, he does have Juju. Yeah, so that is actually, when I said on brand for Phil, that's even more in brand than I even thought it was.
So yeah. So well, I mean, at least he's trying.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, it's definitely a good monopoly to have, right?
Yeah, for sure. Our next one then was the result of an injury to everybody probably saw Dak Prescott's gruesome ankle injury, and Iksan obviously needed a new quarterback after that, but it was probably quite surprising who they elected to go for, and with how much. Andy Dalton for Naheem Hines for $25.
It's a big number. It's a big number. I sort of expected him to stream QBs every week rather than go all in with a guy like Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton's probably the best backup in the league.
Yeah.
And I think he's a very credible starting QB. And obviously, for many years, was on a pretty underachieving, underwhelming Cincinnati team, but did, pull them by their bootstraps to some credible finishes. So being put in a high-powered offense like the Cowboys have should be very interesting to see what this guy can do. We forget that he's a diehard Cowboys fan as well. So this is a guy who's quarterbacking his childhood team. living the dream. And I think that's something that can elevate players big time. I'm really excited to see what he can do, and whether or not the Andy Dalton of old can translate over, to one of the NFL's great offenses.
Yep, there you go. So we will see in a matter of hours. And then the final one I picked up was Brandon Cooks for Gabriel Davis, $15 by Bedetonators. And Brandon Cooks is obviously, I think he had one good game earlier in the season. He obviously had another one last week, but dropped by Tom. And then, of course, that's the week when he has a really good day. And $15 by Ollie. What do you make of that?
I think for a bit of a flyer at the moment is not a bad value to have. I mean, say Brandon Cooks should have been the guy in that offense. I think so we've seen very consistent years from him for the past 3. It just hasn't translated over. Obviously, Bill O'Brien's now gone. So if that's what's needed to happen to create some value for him, as proven last week, then great. And potentially I could have picked up maybe not a receiver 1, but certainly somewhere between a receiver 1 and receiver 2 on his day, for reasonably cheap right now, which is quite hard to find. Sit on that way.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so that was all the transactions I picked out. Trade block time, so the usual names remain. So for the detonators, Ronald Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Ridley and Lamb, but Julio Watson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have also been added to that list. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell signing with the Chiefs spells not good things for Clyde Edwards-Helaire potentially. Gridiron Gang, Zach Moss, Mike Davis and Michael Gallup on the trade block, and as far as I know, Padastan's entire team is still there. So.
Great. I mean, to be fair, I'm increasingly not sure why. So
yeah, it's looking a bit more positive. We'll get into that in a second. Actually, we'll do it now because we'll leave the debate corner to the end again. So we will go into the recaps of week 5. We will have to cast our minds back a bit more than usual as to what the marquee matchup was. Do you recall, Chris? I think it was...
You picked it, I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was Ixan versus UR Gold, wasn't it? Because it was the 2 division leaders at the time.
Yes.
That seems to ring a bell. So we'll go with that. Ixan versus UR Gold. 2 3-1 division leading teams faced off in week 5 to keep ahead in their divisions, and obviously one would jump above the other in terms of the overall rankings, and that team would be UR Gold as they took this one 113 to 86. They moved to 4-1, 4-game win streak now. Meanwhile, Ixan drops another game. Looking down the lineups, we have 28 points from Kyler Murray, 20 from Adam Thielen. Kenyon Drake got 12. Marquise Hollywood Brown got 14. Johnny Smith had 16. So a good day all round for UR Gold. On the other side, Dak Prescott getting injured early cost Ixan in this one. He only got 12 points. Mostert came back, got 12. Myles Gaskin actually got 15. Darren Waller 11. Mark Andrews 11. Chris Carlson 14. So again, another pretty solid day all round. It was just the quarterback that really let Ixan down. History of this matchup is now 3-3 all time. So with that, UR Gold ties the series. UR Gold keeps rolling, and the injuries keep rolling for Ixan. Is probably the takeaway you would have for this one.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the headline here. I mean, you have to say, fair play to Ollie. He's putting together a pretty solid team this year. And again, we keep saying every single week he's anchored by Kyler Murray, and it is. So he doesn't seem to go away. I mean, yes, he's playing the Jets, and we said at the time it was a good matchup, but. You look there at some of the big scorers. You think, well, Adam Thielen, he is the surefire, locked-in #1 receiver in that team. I think I read some stat today that he's receiving 50% of all targets, or 55% of all targets, which is unbelievable in one team. And there's some real flyers in there. Look at Johnny Smith. So he pegged his flag to the mast earlier on in the year, 16 points. It does seem to be the big body red zone receiver in that Titans team right now. Otherwise, lots of very consistent, solid performances. See Marquise Brown finally showing a little bit of what he needs to do. Kenyon Drake, chipping. I mean, I know that they're saying that might be eroded this week. Reasonably solid by the Bears and the kicker. But on the other side, yes, Ben's. That's what you want to see. You want to see, double-figure scores everywhere. Yes, Dak's injury let him down. It hasn't lost him the game, I don't think.
No.
But at the same time, some of the points that he's been scoring recently, the 35s and 40-point games, maybe in another universe or a few weeks ago, this might have been a different story. But yeah, I think that this team now is going to be really on the ropes because really Dak's been covering up some deficiencies in it. However, the stat lines that you see there are pretty much what you want to see throughout your entire team, full of touchdowns, all double figures. I just hope that he gets the QB sorted out to be able to get to those 100 points again.
Yep, indeed. So you are going to press us forward, and Ixan looking a bit more precarious.
Very solid though. You are gold.
Definitely. An under radar strong team, I would say. Our next game then is Odell or Nodell versus Bucking the Trend. Bucking the Trend and Ross's team face off. Both these teams looking to keep pace in their division, and Bucking the Trend managed to do so. 106-79. Looking down the lineups, Matt Ryan did not perform in any way for Bucking the Trend, but everyone else did. Tyreek Hill 15, Josh Jacobs 20, DK Metcalf 21, Robbie Anderson 11, and the special teams 14 and 10. Great team performance, you would say that. Whereas on the other side, really the quarterback was the only thing to jump up and down about. Jared Goff, a week fill-in for the bye week. Aaron Rodgers, he got 28. Kamara got 12, Evans got 10, and Diggs got 10. But really, nothing else there as Ross loses this one. And Mike, I believe, is now 2-0 all-time against Ross. So obviously, a team he likes playing. Mike looks to be back on the horse after another loss last week.
Well, he certainly has, as his name suggests, has bucked the trend in this one. I have to say, look, without, and this is quite clear, I think, before we begin to analyse Mike's side, because Mike's team is very boom or bust, and when it's booming, and when it's busting in a big way. But we have to see here that without the Packers, that Ross's team is a complete shadow of itself.
Yeah,
and it does help that obviously Rodgers has been great, but Aaron Jones has been equally good.
Mm-hmm.
Through 5 games. So I think that it's obviously a down week for him, but the components once he's back firing again with his full team, there's no doubt that 80 points will be 20 points higher. But you can't say it's anything to do with the QB, because Jared Goff as a spot start was brilliant in this one. But it's other things, so bringing Latavius Murray in and Le'Veon Bell, it's that lack of depth that I think that is a little bit worrying. Yeah. Potentially, if somebody gets injured, doesn't matter really who.
Yeah.
But if somebody gets injured.
Well, as we've already seen, like you said with Bell, he's already on another team, and at least for a few more weeks isn't going to be usable. This week as well, you can see he played both Saints running backs, which not necessarily a bad thing, but you don't feel good doing it.
Well, quite right. And it's a tough matchup, and there's no touchdowns between them, so it's far from ideal. Whilst Mike's, he was bemoaning the lack of Josh Jacobs the week previous, a lack of Metcalf. Robbie Anderson's been a great waiver pickup. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. In that offense, and Matt Ryan, just the fact it's generally a shot, I think. I think that it's going to be very difficult to remain with him, as we'll see later.
Yeah, well, we'll see if the new head coach changes the tune for him. But anyway,
you'd like to think so, but to still score 106 points without any real emphasis from a QB is very, very good.
Definitely. So Mike keeps pace in the Portsmouth division. Meanwhile, Ross, well, we'll see if he has fallen behind or not in a bit in the Winchester division. The next game, though, we have is Forge Flyers against Tom's Tyrants. Forge Flyers came into this one running a 2-game win streak. Meanwhile, the opposite could not be more true for Tom's Tyrants, as they were 0-4, still searching for their first win, and they had been a bit hard done by in recent weeks. And you can probably say they were hard done by once again, as they lost a nail-biter 92-90. Looking down the lineups, well, it was a Monday night comeback a Tuesday night comeback. How often do you say that for Forge Flyers? As Derek Henry got them the points they needed, just about with 18. Elsewhere, Lamar Jackson got 18. James Conner 12. DJ Moore 15. And the special teams again performing well. 14 from Ryan Suckup and 10 from the Steelers D. On the other side, well, it's a story of the points on the bench, I'm afraid, for Tom's Tyrants. Brady got 16 compared to Herbert on the bench getting 35. Take your pick of some skill players. Anyone outside of Todd Gurley really got 21. Miles Sanders got 22 on the bench. Special teams did well, 15 and 14, but yeah, still searching for that first win, Tom's Tyrants. And the history of this matchup all time is 5-8 in favour of Tom's Tyrants. You are the proud owner of the only Tuesday night comeback in LOC history, Chris.
And I was there to see it as well, actually. I was ill in the night and ended up watching the fourth quarter, which was quite good for me. Yeah. I felt better after that. Yeah, I think this is a real scrap fest, but it really shouldn't have been, because Tom should have absolutely wiped the floor with my team this week. I think that Justin Herbert, we talked about him in the pod last week. We assumed that he was going to start, and we knew that the matchup was garbage for Brady in Chicago. That's irrelevant, really, because Miles Sanders should have been playing over any one of those skill players that he has there.
Certainly over McKinnon and Gibson.
Certainly. McKinnon's the one that scratches my head.
Yeah, with Mostert being back. I know he's maybe still not fully healthy, but, he is the lead dog, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I probably would start over Antonio Gibson as well. I think if you're sitting your first round pick for no real reason, perhaps except being a bit worried about the matchup. That's...
this is the problem when you're 0-4, though. This kind of doubt creeps in, doesn't it? You kind of box yourself out in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, you talk yourself into doing crazy stuff. Yeah. And this is one that he really will feel that he left behind. I can't be proud of the fact that my team scored 91 points and won a game. But, you look at DJ Chark, who got injured in the game, and Terry McLaurin, who had 2 QBs, including one which had a smashed up leg. Fair play to Alex Smith. Comes back, but he gets demolished. Otherwise, it's quite a healthy stat line for me. But this is one that I have a very bitter feeling about, despite the fact that I won it. I won it in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes to go. Those players for Tom that are on the bench just simply should have been playing.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of this game, and Tom is going to feel hard done by, because he'd been really good the last 2 weeks before this game, didn't get the win then, and then this was the winnable game, and it just slipped through his fingers. So
yeah, absolutely.
It still looks good measure to pick up a win at some point, but week 5 is not that week.
Absolutely. That's it. His team is okay.
Yeah,
just if they're all on the field at the same time.
Yeah, true. Next game then, Gridiron Gang against Palestine. Palestine picked up their first win of the season last week. Meanwhile, Gridiron Gang lost after picking up their first the week before. But Gridiron Gang managed to get back on the horse. Meanwhile, perhaps just one good week against the point magnet that was the Detonators for Pat, as they lost 97-73. Looking down the lineups, With Cam Newton on the COVID list, as he did have COVID, Gardner Minshew got the start. 24 points, not a bad result. Robert Woods got 13. Mike Davis, the RB3 since taking over for Christian McCaffrey in the same time frame. 21 points. Will Fuller got 12. And the Cardinals D got 11. On the other side, Drew Brees got 23. David Montgomery got 12. And Darius Slayton got 13. The kicker got 10 as well, but a lot of low scores around that. Pat drops this one to go 1-4. Gridiron Gang moved to 2-3. And the history of this matchup all time is now 6-2 in favour of Gridiron Gang. Well, it was always going to be a semi-interesting game, this one. Was Pat the real deal? Could Gridiron Gang, after getting their big win, put it back together? What did you make of it, Chris?
Well, I mean, yes, you keep rumbling on. You're right. I think that there's, some obviously key disparities here. One being the defense. Obviously, the Bills got turned over, on Tuesday night in a big way. There's nothing. The QB wise, great start of Minshew. Well done. That's it. It's a decent fantasy day. It's not a very good day for him.
No, certainly not.
But yeah, after that, you think fair play. Picking up Davis, that was a great waiver wire pickup. It was obviously going to be, it was obviously going to be good in the long run because. They're not going to completely scheme out Christian McCaffrey's the way he does things.
No.
To put him in there and do the same sort of thing is very impressive. But I look at Pat's team and I do worry because, yes, Mixon's got a tough matchup there. But will Amari Cooper be flourishing under Andy Dalton or will he not? Will Darius Slayton's not going to play the Dallas Cowboys D every week. Justin Jefferson's he went in there big time for him. So 1 week he's great, next week he's not. Playing Seattle in Seattle, they're not a great defense anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's the key thing I think for me is between where Pat is now and where he could be is getting one of those receivers to fire every week and making sure that he can somehow get to 90 points, to get to 72 points, and then just and top out there. From that lineup with those players is disappointing. But again, lack of touchdowns as well doesn't help. Having AJ Brown back does help him, I think, going forward.
Getting a bit healthier.
Absolutely. That's it. And we will also forget. I presume he still has talent. I haven't seen him drop him this week.
Yes, I think so. I think it does. Yeah.
So having that sort of two-pronged attack.
Yeah. He may have Minshew now. Actually, I think maybe he added Minshew.
He has Minshew. Why? Okay, that's it. I
think he plays Detroit. To be fair,
it might. Okay.
Yeah.
But even then, if Tannehill scored 36 points against the Bills.
Yeah, not a good result.
Look at how he has.
I think that ad was after Breeze had played as well, so it's one of those cases where you do the fun roster move after most of the players have played, drop a bench.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like the fact that he would have then a two-pronged, double punch of Tannehill and AJ Brown, with Michael Thomas to still come back in. So I'd like to think that the second half of the season may be slightly better for him. Sure,
yeah, and he's getting Michael Thomas back after their bye week, unless he goes punching some more people, of course. Our next game then, Bare Necessities against Belednators. The founding teams face off. Bare Necessities, they had a good start, but they've been attracting points, as have Belednators, who have struggled to pick up the wins so far as well. So the two point magnets faced each other, and it was a game that lived up to the billing, 100-96 in favour of the Detonators. Looking down the lineup, Deshaun Watson got 31 points, he's back. Ronald Jones got 13, still in the absence of Leonard Fournette. Calvin Ridley, 14, CeeDee Lamb, 12, and the Colts defense got 12 as well. On the other side, Josh Allen, 20, Devontae Freeman got 15, hello. Dalvin Cook got 15, Travis Kelce 17, Devontae Parker 11, Jonathan Taylor 13. It was really the special teams that let Bare Necessities down, as they couldn't quite pull off the Tuesday night comeback either. With Josh Allen, sorry. But Detonators does take it, and now the series is 10-5 in favour of the Detonators. Another close game, Chris.
Yes, absolutely. Dave's team is so solid. I mean, you look at that. If you want consistency every week, you look at those stat lines and you go, wow, look at that. You know, touchdowns everywhere, decent yardage, you know, exactly what you're looking for. And then it gets to the bottom, and the 49ers get pummeled by the Dolphins, and no one saw that coming, and not by that sort of margin either.
I will say I saw this coming because for a friend at work, he does like a pick'em thing, like you buy him anyway, and I actually went with the Dolphins against the spread this week.
Well, not by that sort of number though.
Well, no, because the spread was I think the Niners were like minus 6.5 or something, and I was like,
okay,
I fancy the Dolphins to at least lose within that or take the game outright. Maybe didn't predict the wide margin, but I thought they could win it.
No, I mean that's unbelievable. It's amazing to see how the 49ers have not fallen, but stuttered this start of this, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. I mean, you know, you from your skill players, you cannot want any more from that if you're better assessed.
No.
You really can't. Maybe a little bit more from Josh Allen, but that's because he's been out for most of the year, or certainly gone big for most of the year. Ollie was understandably worried that I think 100 points was going to be enough, but just about gets him over the line. Then you have to be a little bit concerned about where he goes from here, because as you say, the addition of Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs' back doesn't do it for Clyde.
No.
But look, 100 points is still a great total. You know, I mean, looking down at the bench there, so let's say there's not a lot there, but Tyler Boyd and Beckham, Julio still to come back.
Along. Yeah, Julio.
He's going to be okay. So yeah, I think both of these teams are definitely going to be there or thereabouts throughout the year. I certainly think better necessities are. They're unlucky to be 2-3 at this point. Crikey, they've got such a good team.
Yeah, indeed. And then our last game of the week, it is the Dream Team versus the Tuck Farts. The 4-0 Dream Team, the only undefeated team left standing, faced up against the Tuck Farts, looking to keep pace in their division. And down a player, the Tuck Farts took it in another close game, 107-105. Looking down the lineup, Patrick Mahomes, he's back, he got 34. DeAndre Hopkins, 19. Juju, well, actually no, ignore that, he got nothing. But Dan Bailey and the Ravens team, my goodness, 11 points and 30 points, respectively. Tuck Farts didn't even want to field a Tuesday night Devin Singletary for some reason. It wouldn't have added a lot, but it would have padded the game a bit more. On the other side, Russell Wilson got 30. David Johnson got 10. Ezekiel Elliott, 23. Kareem Hunt, 15. And again, the special teams doing well. Blankenship and the Cowboys, 11 apiece. But yeah, the Tuck Farts takes it, and there are no more undefeated teams. The 1972 Dolphins are popping the champagne once again. The history of this matchup is 8-6 in favour of the Tuck Farts. Not often you see the tactical benching to avoid negative points, but Phil, for some reason, felt he needed to do it.
No, and fair enough, because once you see someone who's carrying a play on the other side, you know, I completely get it. And if you're already ahead, you never know what might happen. So yeah, I cannot fault him. Look, this is probably the first time for a while that we've seen two teams carry a player. So yeah, to both of them to have scored over 100 points with one less player is one quite impressive. You know, and two does set the stake, you know, quite high. But look, I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Phil's won this because of the superiority of the Ravens defense. You know, so Patrick Mahomes is obviously his absolute anchor in this year, but the Ravens defense was so good and so dominant that he has carried him over the line. I think this will be one that Viv sees as an opportunity missed, because, you know, with that sort of margin, you only need 1.5 points. You're not going to play. I mean, look at his bench. I say that. Look at his bench is a good way to go. You know, yes, Landry's not a sexy pick, but at least he got 88 yards in the day.
Yeah.
Scotty Miller in a very, very tough matchup in Chicago.
Mm.
Yes, you'd expect him to score more than he did, which is obviously a blank nothing. But at the same time, it's one of the hardest places for receivers to go this year. So you may have found a way out of that. But otherwise, even despite that, the stat lines that he has are still very good. Whilst with Phil's, we know what kind of team he is. It's Mahomes, Hopkins, and then anybody else decides to make an impression, which at the moment doesn't appear to be that many. But
the special teams.
Special teams did their job this week, yes.
Indeed. So yeah, Phil takes it and undefeated. No more for the Dream Team. So we'll go to the standings now and the milestones and all of that jazz. And it was a very interesting week actually because a lot of games went against the grain, you could say. Just summarising it, I suppose, obviously the one we just reviewed, the Tuckfuds beating the undefeated Dream Team. I guess Mike beating Ross is probably one as well, as Ross had been very good 3-1 to start the year. And even Bedetonators against Ben Necessities as well. You said that Ben Necessities is a very strong team and just can't seem to win those games. Looking at the Southampton division then, You Are Gold does jump up to tie the highest record in the league with 4-1. Does hold the Southampton division still, but Tuckfuds still hot on their tails as they got their win at 3-2. Bedetonators keeping pace with their win at 2-3, but Pakistan dropping another to go 1-4. And just not to pile on to Pat, but it's unbelievable. Not only the points he's conceding, nearly the highest in the league, second highest behind Ollie by the looks of things, but not even 400 points scored. The next closest to Pat looks like 469 by Tom. So it just has been a biblically bad start for Pat, and it's all been due to injuries pretty much. Portsmouth division is, well, very close, with Ben losing. That gave both Buckingham the Train and Forge Flyers the chance to catch up, so they're all on 3-2, separated only by points. And Ben Necessities again with the highest points out of all of them, yet at the bottom with 2-3, but just behind. And then in Winchester, that division gets a little bit closer too, as the Dream Team drops their first game, but they still hold it at 4-1. Ross had an opportunity to jump up and tie it, but they lost as well at 3-2. Gridiron Gang did win, so they're keeping pace at 2-3, and of course Tom still searching for his first win as well. And I was actually incorrect. He's the highest conceded against team, 580 points through 5 weeks. Looking at the breakdown then, the Dream Team, despite their loss, was 8-3 on the week against everyone, so we'll be feeling a bit hard done by. Meanwhile, Ross, who obviously has been very good, had a 1-10 week last week. You can certainly chalk that up to the buys. Ben Necessities, to your credit, what you were saying, Chris, they are third in the breakdown yet, 2-3. Just really tough going. Mike's there in fourth, doing quite well, and then it's all quite close after that as well. Looking at the coach rating, Gridiron Gang still on top, closely followed by Ross and Mike. Then it starts to drop off a bit, but then you look at the bottom, and we speak about Pakistan not scoring a lot of points, and Tom's troubles. He's had a few really good weeks. They have left points on the bench every single week. Certainly for Tom, obviously this week it was the difference. Ollie as well, we say he attracts points. He has been leaving points on the bench, but he had a very good week and he needed it last week to get his win too. You put that all together, your true ranking, unsurprisingly, Dream Team at the top, Ross in second, who is the current wildcard, I believe. Then Ben currently leading the Portsmouth division, bizarrely sixth for Ollie Gardner, even though he has been very good and leading up the Southampton division as well. I know there are lots of nice round numbers this week, as I just keyed them in before the show. Certainly on the regular season side of it, if the tab would open, there we go. Looking down, so we have a tie again at the top for all-time wins, with my dad losing and Phil winning. It is 89 apiece for those two. My dad holds it on a slightly better win percentage though. Looking down the all-time lineups, Tom notched his 80th career loss. The third coach to do so, I believe. No, fourth, I think. behind me, you, and Ollie. No other nice round numbers? Oh yeah, Ollie Gardner gets his 30th career win, and Mike gets his 10th career win. Well done, both of you. On the other side, obviously 10th and 30th regular season win for both of those as well. Viv notched his 60th regular season loss. Chris, you notched your... Sorry, no, you won. Ignore me. You did that last week. Ollie notched his 80th regular season win. I got my 70th regular season win. Lots of round numbers this week, so quite a few milestones there. And that is the milestone standing in stats. So we'll go right into the Week 6 preview, which again is going to be another interesting week. For more than just fantasy reasons, Chris, on the slate we have Gridiron Gang against Odell on Odell, You Are Gold against Bedednators, Pakistan against the Tuckfards, Bare Necessities against Forge Flies, yeah, we already know where we're going. Big Sun against Bucking the Trend, and the Tom's Tyrants against the Dream Team. It is a divisional week. Chris, we all know what it's going to be. What is the market?
Definitely. Oh, we know. We know.
It might not be for fantasy reasons, but there is still there's some juice to it, because Pat is not out of the realm. Meanwhile, Phil is looking to keep up. We have Pakistan against the Tuckfards. It's the Cup Bowl for the marquee matchup. Here we go. Pakistan take on the Tuckfards in Week 6's marquee matchup. It is the Cup Bowl. Both players will be itching to one-up the other here, despite being on different continents, of course. And the projections actually currently have it in favour of the 1-4 Pakistan. Oops, we don't want that. 1-4 Pakistan. Meanwhile, Tuckfards 3-2, looking to keep up. They're coming off of a win. Looking down the lineups for Pakistan, Ryan Tannehill, he does have Ryan Tannehill still, and he does come into the lineup. Drew Brees has been dropped for Gardner Minshew. That was the move there. In terms of other roster moves, Antonio Brown comes in for Darius Slayton. He's keeping his faith with Justin Jefferson, though. On the other side for Phil, I think Chase Claypool comes straight into the lineup over Juju Smith-Schuster, I guess. LaVisca Chenault also into the lineup for Mark Ingram, and Devin Singletary comes in after being tactically rested last week. So, so it's quite a change from Phil's side, as he's getting away from those draft picks, which we've been saying all along he needed to with some of them. History of this matchup all time is 3-3, so lots of bragging rights on the line here, Chris.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, look at Phil's team. Can I just say?
Could not find a more ragtag bunch.
Very much not. I see. I mean, you look at some guys you wouldn't expect it to be in any lineup, let alone a LOC lineup. The Messrs Peterson, LaVisca Chenault, Claypool. You know, fair enough to them. Though. I mean, yeah, Phil doing all right. He's playing the waivers, and I hope, to be honest with you, that it pays off. I mean, you look in there, Mahomes playing in Buffalo, not easy. They did just get pumped by Tennessee, so they're going to want to come out hot. I'd be interested to see what happens with Adrian Peterson this week, because I don't know if it's time to start resting 35-year-old running backs when you've got a second-round pick on the bench. We'll see how we go with that. That's a great matchup for Hopkins. It's a good matchup for Chenault. It's a good matchup for Claypool, especially at home. Yeah, I'm not hot on Singletary. And the Ravens, well, the Ravens could conceivably sack Carson Wentz quite a few times, but they are playing well. And Dan Bates kicking inside a dome. I know he's not. Yes, he is. He's playing at home.
Yeah.
It's all right. Even saying, if he's playing away, he'd still be kicking inside a dome. On the other side, yes, I can see why the projections are just a little bit from Pat at the moment. You know, Tannehill's in hot form. Obviously, AJ Brown comes back into the team as well, like we were mentioning before. Justin Jefferson's got a good matchup with Atlanta. Yeah, I think Amari Cooper is a real big question mark in this one, because not only is he going to be covered well, but also Andy Dalton's first game, but they are playing at home. So I would like to think that if there's going to be a conservative more conservative offense taken, but he's going to be the centre of it. So don't like the matchups for the running backs. The Giants against Washington's a good one as well. Even if Kyle Allen or Alex Smith starts, we saw that how inept he looked last week, and the Giants do possess quite a good defense. So, I think if there's a QB that can at the moment rival Mahomes in terms of certainly fantasy points scored, because we've seen him big time fantasy points. Tannehill's not a bad option right now. Do I think that Pat's skill positions are better than Phil's? I do. But do I think the matchups, especially for the running backs, are as good? No. But the quality is obviously there. It's going to be very, very, very difficult to pick a winner here, Nathan.
Yeah.
It's a tight one. There are flyers on Phil's team. The Schnott and Cam Claypool do the same sort of thing again this week.
I'm gonna go with Phil. I think. I think the personnel is better on Pakistan's side, but we've seen that Mahomes, Hopkins, and I guess you've got to say Ravens stack.
Yeah,
it brings a lot of the points, and I think the Tugfads actually gets better by not stubbornly rolling out the draft picks in Mark Ingram and stuff like they have been. I
definitely agree with that. It's taken a long time for him to drop them.
Yeah, Chanel, even Peterson as well, have actually been fairly good fantasy point-wise. Certainly not been horrendously disappointing. Obviously, Claypool is the wild card. Whereas on the other side, we see it every year. Some teams, even though Pat's getting healthy like last week, it just sometimes still doesn't quite come together. As you say, the Mixon's not got a great matchup either, and Jefferson and Cooper are a bit of wild cards, and so I think it's good. I agree, it's definitely a hard one to call, but I would lean Tugfads. Okay then.
Yeah.
So, but we're both
on the fence. It could be a tie.
Oh well, that would be the perfect result for the combo. Absolutely hilarious. Our next game then, it is Bare Necessities against Forge Flyers. Forge Flyers and Bare Necessities face off in an absolutely critical divisional week as a win keeps Forge Flyers in with a shout of being the lead of the division, depending what else happens. They're on a 3-game win streak too. Meanwhile, Bare Necessities on a 2-game losing streak. Will need to win again to keep up in the division. They are only 1 game behind. The Forge Flyers are projected to take this one 95-94. Looking down the lineups, Julian Edelman comes in for DJ Moore. Christian Kirk comes in for DJ Chark. He is injured. And Deontay Johnson already announced is out. I think Chark, he's questionable. I think he will play, but who knows how healthy he is. On the other side of the ball for Bare Necessities, Darrell Henderson comes into the lineup. For Melvin Gordon, he is out, missing the game with illness. Dalvin Cook also moves out of the lineup. I can't remember who he brought in.
Freeman's come in, I think.
No, Freeman was in there last week. Maybe it was Jonathan Taylor? I don't know. Let's say that, but he's come into the lineup anyway. History of this matchup all time is 6-9 in favour of Forge Flyers. And just to recap the injuries, no others there. So Chris, take it away.
Melvin Gordon didn't play last week because he was on a bye.
Yes. So he didn't come out. So it's just Henderson for Cook then. Yeah, there we go.
That's where I'm missing the trick. Right, now, firstly, I'm going to be very honest with our viewers, and I'm not entirely sure how NFL.com projections project me higher than that team. I'm going to be honest, because Dave's team has been absolutely absurd through the first few weeks. I think they've been really solid, and I have to say, you can't knock that sort of consistency. I think that Josh Allen playing with Kansas City, it won't phase him at home, and I think that they have been reasonably tough, but not necessarily through the air. Freeman and Henderson possess the difficult matchups. there, especially Henderson in San Francisco. That's it. Although they got beat through the air last week, their run defense has been pretty good. Kelsey, we know what we're going to expect from him, which is a decent amount of yards and probably a touchdown. Parker playing the Jets is very good for him as well. So Jonathan Taylor against the Bengals, again, tough, but he's going to get plenty of volume. And the 49ers do want to bounce back playing the Rams, but the Rams have been all right.
Yeah, especially that defense is very injured as well. So.
Yes, Jared Goff looks, well, what they should be paying him, to be honest. So, so he's worth his value. On the other side for me, I mean, I've tried to play the match as best I can here. Lamar's been okay, if not, he hasn't completely blown up in the last few weeks, but he's just been okay. So hopefully this is the game where he rights that wrong. So Derrick Henry's been a real anchor, and well, volume-wise, he should be on the field a lot, because the other two running back, well, certainly Darius Evans, who is his key. His running back partner perhaps is he's gone down. James Conner, solidly consistent, and then against the receivers, and every week I scratch my head with the receivers. We're going with Edelman, Kirk, and McLaurin for now. That's it. The real difficult one for me is if DJ Chark plays, is how much will he get? How much will he be a big part of that game? Despite being a bit banged up, I think Edelman's going to be a bit more part of that game. Christian Kirk's got a good matchup. I just hope McLaurin gets thrown to this week by someone credible, but we'll see. Plus the Steelers and Ryan Suckup. Hopefully the Steelers will continue scoring double-digit points as they have done for the last few. Suckup had a good game last week. It should be reasonably high scoring, you would have thought. So, same again. So, there's definitely a route to victory by, plugging my flag to the mast on Jackson, Henry, Connor, and one more. But Benesestes is just a better team, I think. It's quite clear.
Well, you say that, but again, every year we see this. There's some good teams that just seem to find ways to lose. I genuinely, I think this is another week. I'm going to go with your team, because Tennessee found the recipe to slow down Josh Allen, seeming like, okay, there was some other stuff going on around that game, which might not have helped. But Kansas City's defense, when they're playing with a lead, which I think they probably will, I can't see their offense struggling too much against the Bills' defense. I don't know. I just have a funny feeling. And Devontae Freeman had a good week and the best matchup possible. Washington's front seven is pretty damn good. And we were already said about the Niners' defense, which they just got shredded by Miami, and you're rolling them out there against a better offense. I don't get it. There's some things and then on your side, completely agree with your take. It is all about the top three for you. Edelman, I think, as you said, should be okay this week. The Denver defense is weak through the air, and then if you get anything from those other two players, I don't. Your special teams are good. There's more potential in the good players on Benesestes, but there's more question marks than on your side, if you get what I'm saying. So I think those question marks leave enough room for you to sneak in and take the win.
I hope so.
Alright then. We're split on that one, I guess. Next one then, we have Ixan against Bucking the Trend. A battle to take the lead in the division. Ixan and Bucking the Trend, both 3-2, both separated by points. But difference is Bucking the Trend coming in off of a win, Ixan coming in off of a loss, and the projections seem to think that will continue. 84-79. That's a very low prediction in this game, and I suppose we'll see why. If we start with Ixan, he has pivoted to Ben Roethlisberger, even though he spent $25 on Andy Dalton. He's the starting quarterback in wake of the Dak Prescott injury. Brandon Ayuk comes into the lineup, as does Chase Edmonds. They are in bye week hell, because Darren Waller and Chris Carson, two key players, both on a bye there. So lots of change and speculation still for Ixan. Meanwhile, on the other side, bucking the trend. They are without their quarterback. Sorry, no, they have changed their quarterback from Matt Ryan. He has been dropped outright. They have added Ryan Fitzpatrick. But he does have a good matchup. Philip Lindsay comes in. Obviously, Gordon is out, but they are playing the tough New England defense. Sorry. Preston Williams comes in favour of Josh Jacobs. Bye week hell on both sides. DK Metcalf out too, so that means T.Y. Hilton comes in? No, it must have been Lindsay and Williams for Jacobs and Metcalf. Yes, that must be it. So, justifiably projected low, you would say. History of this matchup will only be one game, I would think, and Ixan took it. Well, this has the hallmarks of the most boring game of the week, I think you would say, Chris.
I must admit, it's definitely one that it might be the most unpredictable one.
That's it.
I mean, Ben's watching, so he says here, that's it. I don't want to miss out on Dalton if he does perform, but for now I'd rather have Big Ben. I think that he's probably right on that one, I have to say, because Big Ben's got a good matchup against Cleveland this week. Mm-hmm. He seems to be in real good form, and the receivers around him, no matter who plays, as Chase Claypool proved last week, perform. So I think that's definitely a decent avenue and a more predictable avenue to points, I think. But other than that, if someone said to me, this team is going to start this season, I would have probably laughed at them. Yes, but Mostert, I think, Mostert and Andrews are the key things here, as well as the Patriots D. But Gaskin's been good, playing the Jets, good matchup. Brandon Ayuk, we've seen glimpses of what he can do. And Edmonds against Dallas, he couldn't really ask for a better one, but with Drake and with Kyler Murray being there or thereabouts as well, it's very difficult for him to score points that I would think would be game changing. On the other side, Mike's playing the percentages here. So he's brought Fitzpatrick in, who, let's be honest, has probably been the surprise of the year so far, as well as Miami generally, really. Twinning him with Preston Williams, who, between the two of them could well do something playing the Jets. Philip Lindsay comes in, he's going to be the number one back, you would have thought. But against the stout New England D, as you say, Hilton really hasn't performed all year, and Philip Rivers looks like he should just stayed in Los Angeles. Is it Tyreek? We know what Tyreek's capable of. Rob Anderson's got a horrible matchup. And the Rams D play in San Francisco, well, they're going to get run on. But QB wise, San Francisco looked abysmal this year, so you'd like to think maybe some points there. Both kickers are good, and both kickers are in good matchups for what they need to do. So 84-79, there's a touchdown in that somewhere. Again, that's it. Who are we going for? Mike's matchups are horrible. So do you know what? I might even poke for Ben here, because Big Ben could be the guy on the day. But the Dolphins and the Rams have to bail Mike out, I think, for there to be a result.
Yeah, I think the only player you're confidently starting on Mike's side is Tyreek Hill.
And the Rams D.
I don't know, because Jimmy G clearly wasn't, I think, all the way back from his injury, which led to the Lolathon against the Dolphins last week. In a divisional matchup, I could see them, him being a bit healthier. I don't think that's necessarily the best matchup to take. But obviously, you look on the other side, there are some really nice things. You say Patriots against Denver, Drew Lock should be back, but still.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is solid. Mostert's solid, and Roethlisberger's solid. So I'll take 4 stable players over 1, if you know what I mean. So
certainly, yeah. The projections there are skewed. If they should be more 80 apiece, I think.
Yeah. No, so bye week hell for both, but Ixan to come out on top, we think here. And we go to Tom's Tyrants and the Dream Team next. The winless Tom's Tyrants face the newly not undefeated, Dream Team. They are 4-1 now. Tom's Tyrants still searching for their first win at 1-5. Projections definitely have the Dream Team taking this one 166. I can only imagine there's some bye week and injury stuff going on. There sure is. So for Tom's Tyrants, still unchanged. Keenan Allen will lots on a bye. Devontae Adams will probably come back in. Maybe even Miles Sanders will come back in as well, and they'll obviously find a new kicker for the Dream Team. Matthew Stafford comes in for Russell Wilson, who's on a bye. Alexander Madison comes in for David Johnson as Dalvin Cook is out with his groin injury. Chris Godwin returns from his injury in favour of may not even be on the roster anymore. Who they dropped.
David Johnson, isn't it? Yeah.
No, that was what Madison came in for. So I don't even know. Anyway.
Oh, Scott Miller.
Scott Miller, yes, he has gone to the waiver wire, indeed. So yeah, projections heavily favour the Dream Team. Obviously, in this one, history of this matchup is 4-9 in favour of Tom's Tyrants. Will history hold true in this one, Chris?
I mean, I think we know who's going to win this game, Nath. Yeah, if Tom felt as though he was down and out, I think he's going to feel even more down and out after this game because you look at Viv's team, you look at who they're playing, and the potential for a really good score here, and it is quite frightening, to be honest. So let's just work down Viv's. I mean, bring Matt Stafford back into the team, or bring him from the waiver wire to replace Russell Wilson. On paper, it doesn't seem like it's a like-for-like swap, but playing Jacksonville at the moment isn't necessarily a bad thing. Elliott and Madison are definitely going to be surefire, locked in RB1, especially Elliott. He's going to get a lot of carries, I think, while Andy Dalton finds his feet. Having Godwin back's a massive bonus. Could be a bit of a shootout. And as we like to say every week, if your number one receiver or number 1A receivers with the QB of the opposite team, really does limit that QB's upside on the other side. Kittle had a bad week last week, but a really good one the week before. I think he's going to have a good one again. Kareem Hunt, and again, surefire, locked in number one running back, and although in a reasonably tough matchup against Pittsburgh, but we've seen that they just run down the throat of every team so far this year. So why is that going to be any different? And Dolphins playing the Jets again. Everyone playing the Jets is doing all right this year. On the other side, I don't know what degree I hate certain things, but I really hate this. This is bad. This is bad. So Brady playing Green Bay, shootout ability, but do I want to play Green Bay's defense right now? No. Do I want to play Jerick McKinnon at all? No. Did Gurley look good last week? Yes, but he's playing Minnesota away this week, so he won't be as good. Allen Robinson playing Carolina. Carolina have been, underwhelming in all departments, but let's be honest, that's it. Chicago haven't been much better on offense. That's it. Antonio Gibson playing the Giants away. Again, talk about underwhelming offenses. There is one. Who knew that taking away Dwayne Haskins would make it even more underwhelming? And the Browns playing Pittsburgh, and they're just going to rain fire on them. So I can completely see why you bring Devontae Adams back in. That's nice. You bring Miles Sanders back in. You think that's volume. So he's got to bring one of them back in for Keenan Allen, though. Mm-hmm. So we just values.
Yeah.
But it's still not enough to play the absolute. Is the three running back studs on the other side, plus Chris Godwin and the Dolphins defense. Yeah. That's enough, I think.
Yeah, I think. You're right. Easy pick to go for the Dream Team this week, and Tom's boys continue. Tom. And sorry, Tom. And it does appear that Ollie's bold prediction of there will be a team that will break my longest losing streak approaches ever closer, unfortunately. The next game we have then is Gridiron Gang against Odell or Nodell. Gridiron Gang face Odell or Nodell, and it is a case of Gridiron Gang looking to catch up to Ross's team and Viv's in the division. Meanwhile, Ross will be looking to win to level up, or at least stay one behind the Dream Team. Projections have this as a nail-biter right now, 87.33 to 87.1. Looking down the lineups, Cam Newton slated to return for the Patriots, pending obviously the COVID stuff going on there. Jamison Crowder comes into the lineup, and that was over Minshew, of course. Crowder comes in over Michael Gallup. Otherwise, I believe... Oh no, Kenny Golladay comes back from his bye as well over for Tyler Lockett. On the other side of the ball, Ross gets back his bye-week players. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones come into the starting lineup in favour of... he's already dropped the quarterback he had last week, and Latavius Murray is the skill position player. I believe Burkhead comes in as well for Kamara. And other, I think maybe Keelan Cole is coming. Yeah, for Le'Veon Bell too. So the history of this matchup is my team is there. It's 4-5 in favour of 4-5-1. Sorry, in favour of Ross. What do you make of this game, Chris?
All I can say is that yes, Ross does have some bye-week troubles, but the replacements that he's brought in are reasonably underwhelming. I mean, yes, Keelan Cole coming back in, playing Detroit, that's not too bad, but I don't know what Burkhead's going to do. He is the ultimate boom or bust player now. But as we saw last week, it doesn't matter because, when you've got Rodgers and Jones back, that's going to be a real shot in the arm, albeit against a pretty tough Tampa Bay defense. That game's going to be massive for him because obviously you've got Evans in it as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diggs has been everything they want him to be really in Buffalo, and I'm sure he'll have better weeks than he did last week. So the Chiefs Bills game and the Green Bay Tampa game is going to be really reliant on Ross's week this week. On your side, having Cam back is obviously massive, and playing him at home against Denver is. Yeah, that's a matchup you want him to see him in too. So Crowder's the only real credible receiver that the Jets can throw to right now. Davis has played well so far. That's it. I don't think that Chicago defense should be anything to be worried about through on the ground, especially when you play as well as he is right now.
Revenge game too, fan. Don't forget.
Say again.
Revenge game. They had
yes.
him, and they didn't think he was good enough, so they just cut him. And look where he is now.
Yeah, well, that's it. If there's any way to get back at a team like that, that's it. It's just to smash it straight down the middle. It'd be interesting to see what Will Fuller does now. Now that Bill O'Brien's gone. As I said, we saw Cooks was emerging last week, but he still is an excellent deep threat, and one that Deshaun Watson seems to like. They having Golladay back is great. Robert Woods is as solid as they come. I'm playing the Washington defense against the Giants, who have been, again, underwhelming on offense is very good. And you'd like to think the kicker's going to score as well. So, look, if Kamara was in for Ross's team, this is a no-brainer for me. Mm-hmm. But are Burkhead and Cole going to achieve anything together? Are Rodgers and Jones going to be able to patch that up? I don't really know, to be honest. And I think that your team is actually quite solid this year, Nate.
Thank you. Despite being down first two draft picks through injury, somehow cobbled together. Yeah,
very much so. So I think it's coming back to a position where you can quite confidently say, I like that, and I think that I do. I don't. We've seen teams ride the Packers before, and it's not as if the Tampa are any slouches,
Yeah.
So I think that I'm going to just about go for your team this week, Nath. But only just, and that's why the projections are.
Yeah, I think they're bang on. Yeah, because I think you've kind of basically correctly pointed it out. It's depth versus or breadth versus consolidation. My team is the sum of its parts, whereas Ross's team is largely all down to Rodgers, Jones, and Evans certainly this week, and even Diggs probably. It's definitely a tough one to call, and with Ross practically being at full strength, like you say, he hasn't got Kamara. He's going to put up points, but I think it, like you kind of pointed out with Cole and Burkhead. If he gets anything from Cole and Burkhead, I think he'll win it. But otherwise, my team has been doing okay lately, so I'll lean my team with the projections as well. Our final game of the week, then, it is You Are Gold against the Pedinators. The Ollie Bowl happening in week 6 of the LOC 2020 season, and this one is projected to go in favour of the Detonators, 100 to 92. Looking down the lineups for You Are Gold, they are unchanged at the moment as it appears. And on the other side for the Detonators, they are also unchanged. Oh no, sorry, Odell Beckham has come in for CeeDee Lamb. That is the only change, I think, so nice and easy there. Looking down the history of the matchups, the Detonators are 3-3 all time against Cash for Gold. Chris, please take it away. So, key one for Ollie B to keep up, and Ollie G will be wanting to keep ahead.
Yes, I agree. Look, I think that we have to appreciate that that You Are Gold's top 4 or 5, let's call it 5. Even Johnny Smith, to be honest with you, are in plus matchups.
It's a good team.
We look at, absolutely. That's it. Look at both the Cardinals against Dallas, great. Thielen against Atlanta at the moment is they're there for the taking. Cup against San Francisco, we saw that they were there to take last week. Why is that going to change in a week? Marquise Brown, we need to see Lamar throw.
We seem to have lost Chris's audio for some reason. Hopefully
where
that's not that may be my AirPod. Hold on, let's find out. Sorry, Chris, and sorry, business.
No, that's it. Can you hear me?
I can get some sound. Yeah, it appears to be my. You keep oh, there we go. I think I'm back. Hello, Chris. Can I?
Oh.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you now. Don't know what that was.
You got good stuff.
Apologies.
Yes, no, that's quite right. We were just saying about Marquise Brown. So we've seen him in the last couple of weeks really try to extend, and we've seen Lamar not maybe throw as much. So I'd like to think that's the rapport that's coming on. See Johnny Smith, 2 touchdowns last week. Still Corey Davis isn't back. Adrian Brown is back. But yeah, that's not simply not going to change against the Texans right now. And the Bears against Carolina, well, that's it. I think they're good for a couple of turnovers there. As for Ollie B, it's it. Do I like OBJ against Pittsburgh? No. Do I like Ridley against Minnesota? Yes. But do I now like? Is Clyde trending down? Not yet.
No.
And we saw Derek Henry last week. But I don't think that's where that team's strength is. Say Ron Jones again, same sort of thing. We just saw Tennessee turn over Josh Allen. So Watson's I think a more established QB, obviously, but yeah, it's a difficult one there too. But the one I do want to think about here, is Robinson against Detroit, which I think is going to be excellent, and the Colts did against Cincinnati. So we saw the Ravens last week obliterate Joe Burrow. The Colts D should do a very similar sort of thing because they seem to be very strong on that side of the ball. But I think You Are Gold are going to win this game. I know there's a 9-point swing here, but I think that there's a lot of high predictions from big names when actually we take the matchup into account on the other side, and they do tell me or do suggest to me that You Are Gold's in with a bit more of a shout than I think we think of.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. We know what Pedinators are there. They need big weekly performances from a few players to have a good week and a chance of winning. And of course they've got a chance of that happening. They've got guys like Ridley, Watson. I think you can still lump Edwards-Helaire in that, and even Beckham we've seen that from. Robinson as well. So it's definitely there, but you can't look further than You Are Gold at the moment. Just what they've been able to do. They are 4-1. But Pedinators are like my dad's team, just seem to be one of those point magnet teams this season. So it just has all the makings of that being the same again. So you are gold to take this one, we think then. So that is the Week 6 previews. We will just dip into Debate Corner real quickly. John Burkow, would you please usher us in? There you go. Thanks, John. So this week's the Debate Corner, I think I picked out was an interesting one, because if we look at the Portsmouth division, 3-3-2 teams and a 2-3 right behind, which has scored more points than any of the others. Who will win the Portsmouth division?
Now it's definitely the most even one, obviously. I think that your Dash team's been very, very hard done by over the first part of the year. Obviously, those points scored, it's one of the highest in the league, if not. I think it's probably good for third highest in the league now.
Yeah, so just behind Viv, behind Ross. Yeah, so they are third highest. Yeah.
Third highest, so they shouldn't be where they are. But as you say, a bit of a points magnet, 528 against, which is
it's up there.
It's up there. It's certainly maybe it's the third highest again. So third or fourth highest perhaps. But look, I think that they're well set for the course of the year, barring any injuries or anything like that, to really go on and do good things in that division. I think Ben's team is too banged up, and I think now that without a dominant QB, that team will trend down a little bit. Mike's team does seem to be quite solid, and as we said, quite big or bust. So yeah, it depends what week you catch him on, but I think they're he's certainly got some shoots of positivity perhaps to be able to get there. My team, although it has got won 3 in a row somehow, I don't think it's a stellar team. But if I can consistently not keep getting lucky with the points scored against, because I'm not gonna make any bones about it, I have been quite lucky with that.
You were the lowest, I believe. Only outside of you are Gold, who are under 400. Unbelievable.
That's it. Which is partially the reason why they've done so well.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that I've got quite lucky so far to get to that 3-2, and it's not a stellar team. I have to be quite dependent on my top 3, perhaps. So yeah, I think their necessities are probably in the driving seat. Although they're at 2 and 3 at the moment, it only takes a couple of weeks to turn that around. I think the division generally would be quite tight behind it though, because I think that Mike's, Ben's, and my team are on a similar sort of level. Albeit, I think Mike's has more upside at the moment. Ben's is just trying to get by week to week without getting injured again. And mine, I bought in Henry Ruggs off the waivers, and hopefully what we saw from him last week will continue going forward. But yeah, I think I need a more solid receiver, or at least another skill player that's consistently doing it to be in the conversation.
Sure. Yeah, that pretty much summarised Debate Corner pretty well. No debate from my end, because you can't look past what Ben Necessities is right now. Okay, they've lost Cook, but they're well positioned to withstand that. He shouldn't be out too long, and then they'll be just absolutely fine again when he comes back. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, as you say, yeah, it's all very close and still all to play for. So we shall see. So that is it for another episode of the LOC Report. We hope you enjoyed the Sunday edition. As we know at the moment, no COVID stuff hopefully going to impact this week. So all that's left is to wish you a good rest of your Sunday. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. Good luck in your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course. Goodbye.